Hey, it's Obi Chukwumah, Space and Equity. We're all about increasing assets and creating new space. Real bankers for real people. We're here today with Benaisha Watson of the Bailey-Watson Group, real estate mogul here in the DFW. Benaisha, we appreciate you.
Thank you
Say
for
hi to the
having me.
audience.
Hey, audience.
All right, all right. He was a Titan from day one, didn't even know it until she asked around and got the receipts and realized, oh man, I'm doing it bigger and better than my peers. So tell me about that. You have been in real estate for over a decade. You started off as an investor, and then you operated on the retail side of the house. Tell me about that transition into real estate to begin with.
Yeah, so just a consumer buying and holding, had good credit, made good money, and took advantage of the opportunity to be a homeowner. It wasn't much what I bought, but I owned it. It was mine. Nobody can take it away. And at the age that I was, most people had apartments. You can't put holes in the wall. You can't paint the walls. You can't do certain things. So for me, it was the value of being able to just have the freedom to do what I wanted with the property without someone telling me I couldn't. And I think that continued on in my life as we continue to talk. I've spearheaded a lot of things because I just didn't want anybody to tell me no. So
I feel you.
it's just something that I had in me.
I feel you. So tell me your opinion on the real estate transaction itself. People often talk about that there's a long play when it comes to real estate. Do you believe that's the case, and why is that the case?
That there's a long play.
Yes. There's no such thing as a short-term real estate transaction.
Absolutely. I think real estate is the best place to become a millionaire. It's the best start, it's the best end, it's the best middle. We have other opportunities like stock and stuff like that, but I feel like, and because I play in the space of real estate, I can speak from experience. I have only I've had things where I've had challenges with tenants and stuff like that, but those are minute things in the grand scheme of building wealth and having an asset and generational legacy. Real estate is definitely top priority for me. It hasn't failed me yet, and I don't think I'll ever get out of it and say, okay, I'm going to move all of my stuff to crypto, or I'm going to move all of my stuff to other opportunities, because real estate is just the most sustainable platform that I have ever encountered in my life.
Okay. And Benaisha, would you say that in the real estate in your portfolio, what does it comprise of? It's single family residence, multifamily. What's in the package for your most of your projects?
Yeah, so initially I was all single family. I didn't even understand or think about owning multiples and having multiple doors, such as units. But as I got older in my real estate career and my real estate knowledge, basically multifamily is where I'm transitioning to. So my portfolio consists of mostly single family homes.
Single family homes. And then do you spend more time supporting your retail customers in the purchase of their home, purchase of their investment properties, or managing your own portfolio? How does that mix look?
I definitely spend more time helping other people. So I also own a bank. So it's not just the space of sales and commercial and residential. I'm also funding deals. So at the end of the day, it's really mostly for other people. And I kind of juggle in things for myself as well. But my programs and my stuff, they kind of run itself.
And run itself. And then tell me about that cycle. So we're in a weird spot. The shortage on real estate is the highest it's ever been. So in 2007 and then by 2009, the stuff just shut down, and we probably didn't pick up until 2012. So now we don't have enough real estate for the people out there that need homes, need places to stay. However, we're still dealing with probably going to run into a recession, which is normal part of the economic cycle. And we also have inflation, roughly 8%. And then we have people like, I don't want to go work at that nonsense job anymore. So the employers can't fill the seats. The inflation is as high as it's been since the 70s. And we don't have enough housing for people. This is different than the Great Recession in 2009, but we're going to hit another recession. What does that look like in the real estate cycle?
So I was just having a conversation this morning about that. And I think that, yeah, the real estate market's going to have a correction. I don't see a recession because when it comes to real estate, we don't have, like you said, enough inventory. So without enough inventory, to me, it's how could it recess? We don't have enough. There's 20, for example, in Texas, we live in one of the hottest markets in the United States of America right now, the top 5 by far. Mm-hmm. However, and there's 25,000 people moving here a month.
Wow.
There's the most transition within the state of Texas comes from Houston to Dallas. So because we're in a pocket of growth, and people are moving around the country, and opportunities, jobs are still moving around and coming here, I just don't see how we're going to hit a recession. I think maybe a correction. Maybe the feds will step in and correct the interest rates. Maybe they'll put a cap on certain things so we can't continue to go 7, 8, 9%, which is where we're headed if we keep going up. Because I know that people are locking in 7% interest rates right now, and that's just crazy. Yeah. When we were at 2% during COVID, I just don't see how the real estate market is going to be totally impacted when it comes to the corrective process.
Gotcha. The challenge, I see affordable housing. How do we take care of that when they're spending 10% more at the grocery store than they were 6 months ago? And we have a housing shortage. So if the housing shortage, I could charge you more. Right now I'm charging rent in the hood like $1,900 a month. 2 years ago, I would have be happy to collect $1,500. What happens when people can't afford to live?
Let me ask you this. Are they paying you $1,900?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to be able to afford where we live. We have to buy food. Maybe you have to get rid of Netflix, the cell phone, the hair shop, the nails, the barber, or whatever else people spend money on. I mean, right now our economy skyrocketed when it came to product-based business. No one was going to the mall anymore. Maybe those places will shut down and we'll all shop online eventually. But I don't think that one thing is going to eliminate another. I don't think people will stop buying houses. I don't think they'll stop driving cars. I don't think they'll stop buying groceries. I think it's just going to be a part of the way that we live, and
That's
you
true.
just have to move with the wave.
The pseudo economist in me is just so anxious about that. Like, so you're a banker too. You have a bank, so you know the back end ratios, and I get so fearful for my customers. And I'm a commercial banker, but I get fearful when I hear people can have a back end ratio of 50%. I'm like, what else can you do if your house is 50% of your income? Like, you can eat, and then what else can you do? Where do you find people having the most success in owning their home from a debt to income ratio standpoint?
I think that if you're not a homeowner, then you're in jeopardy. I have a good friend right now, just like many other people that this has happened to throughout the years. The homeowner decides to put the house on the market because the market's hot, or because they have gotten sick, or because something's going on in their particular family and they're just offloading portfolio. Maybe they had COVID and whatever happened. So you get impacted by other people. So if you don't own something, you're going to get affected one way or another. Eventually that owner is going to sell that property, and they may not want you in that house anymore. So are you waiting like waiting for the clock to tick on you? Or are you going to move with the wave and try to get an opportunity? You don't have to buy the biggest house on the block. It's about owning something that belongs to you and your legacy. We are at 1.6 trillion in spending power, but we own absolutely nothing that's of value. We're the lowest on the level. And if you look at it from that perspective, that should motivate you to want to do more, even if it's $175,000 condo somewhere belongs to you.
Wow. You just touched on a passion project of mine, which is really educating Black families about wealth creation. And you're in real estate, I'm pseudo in real estate, but we're both in the debt space. We both understand and utilizing debt to build wealth. How do we make that mind shift for the Black community who everything about his debt is bad from their perspective? That's what we've been taught. How do we shift the tide? We are shifting. How are we shifting the tide? And how do we make it even more effective?
The way that we shift the tide, in our community, we can show you better than we can tell you, right? Mm-hmm. We gravitate towards shiny objects. We gravitate towards the nice videos. We gravitate towards the guy with the flashy suit. We gravitate towards. So I think it gets kind of like a thin line, because you can gravitate towards something and find out that it's not real at the end, right? We have that space. But we also have the space where people do listen. So like we have our platform here today with the podcast. We have an opportunity to have a voice. You can share this and 3 million people can see it in 10 seconds.
Yes.
Once you put it out there. So it's just about continuing to educate, continuing to drive that knowledge factor, continuing to all come together and say, we're going to put events together and we're going to travel across the country and we're going to empower people. And I don't care if 5 people come in a room, mm-hmm. we touch one person. Like it has to be something where, like the Martin Luther King, we got to keep marching, and and just keep going. And even after his passing, his legacy lives on. People still repeat, "I have a dream," so it didn't go in vain. So it touched people. It resonated with people, and they were able to share with their kids and their kids. So I think the way that we keep this information spreading is just to keep going with it. We have to just form a tight team and just keep going out there and empowering, keep posting, keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And then hopefully our kids hear us talking about it and want to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and just keep going.
Absolutely. How do we have the technology, so we know that's a piece of it, but there's 40 million Black people in the country, roughly 40 million. We represent about 12% of the overall population in the United States. And then by 2050, there will be 2 billion Black people on the continent of Africa within the 54 countries that exist today. What do we need to do to connect that 40 million to that 2 billion, which would represent probably 20% of the overall population in 2050? How do we start connecting these folks now?
You know what? I'm on a journey right now. I want to go to the motherland. Like, I need to go see where we come from in order to know where we're going. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't reach that when we're younger. Sometimes you see older people that are talking about the motherland. Sometimes you hear younger people too. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to touch base with where we come from first, because we are confused. We are lost. We don't know where we are. We don't know where we're going. We don't know who to listen to. We don't know who to trust. And if we go around people that look like us in our community, I think it starts there. And that's how we help bridge it starts with knowledge. Like, I know for me, being able to travel, I've been in like 90 countries around the world. Mm-hmm. And had I not gone to those countries, I probably wouldn't be in the place that I am today. So we have to get out of our comfort area and expand and travel and understand how other people are living, how to connect the dots between culturally and even just spiritually and physically and through knowledge and just all that stuff. I think that once you gain a connectivity, now it's like the brainstorm bubble and it has all these different extensions. Yeah. And now we know how to reach different people with those extensions. We can't be one dimensional. We can't even be 2-dimensional. They say you need 7 streams of income to be successful. Why can't you have 7 streams of connectivity to the world? Yeah. In your own home. So I think it starts with just reaching back and reaching out and understanding all the different dynamics of where we come from to understand where we're going. Absolutely.
Well, offline, we can help you touch more of those 90 countries. We definitely have. I'm first generation Nigerian American, still carry 2 passports, and we definitely want to make that connection with the diaspora. I think there's opportunity on the tech side to do so. So we'll talk offline about that. But I want to take a lighter note, that's a heavy topic stuff. In the 90s, we had a different genre of music that doesn't exist today, it seems like. There was something called rhythm and blues. And I think after Maxwell, I don't know if that even exists anymore. What were you listening to in 1997? Or I'll just give you a range. In the late 90s, what R&B were you listening to?
R&B, 97, probably like Ashanti. Um,
Hmm.
I was probably on some, I was on some rap too, but
Okay.
R&B wise, probably I was on Ashanti. That's the one that
Okay.
comes to mind.
Okay. Okay. And why does that genre just gone?
Not in my car. It's still there.
It's still there in your car?
It's still
It's more than
there.
Drake singing on his raps in your
That's it.
car?
I like Drake, but I like my old school too.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I missed that. It's funny. Somebody said that like when I think and I became a man to some R&B. Let's just put it that way. And
Okay.
that R&B, that artist was said to be the reason why we don't have R&B today, but I can't call it.
Yeah.
Somebody said that I heard a radio personality say that Maxwell is the reason why we don't have R&B. That transition was just too much.
Uh-oh.
But
He was too
but
good.
whatever. I miss that genre of music, and maybe I should keep that in my rotation as well. But I'm big on rap, 90s rap. If you were here, you would see my wall. I got Jay-Z, I got Nas, Biggie, Pac. I mean that whole I could go
Yeah,
for
I'm from
days.
LA, so I was on Tupac and Ice Cube and Dub C and Mac 10.
Mac 10, West Side Connection. All right,
Yes.
all right. And so
Snoop Dogg.
there you go. Now, so Kendrick came along later, but I love Kendrick. Like my daughter grew up. I probably played that Good Kid, Mad City from 2013 to 2016. She was born in 2006. Now she loves Kendrick, but I just forced it down her ear for
Yeah.
years. She loves Kendrick. But I just, there's something to me, there's something about hip hop that is so, it could take you. I never trapped. I never did any of that stuff. But for some reason, I resonated with artists like Jay, with artists like Mac 10. I didn't have the same experience, but the music, like the music did something to me to make that connection. And it was more
Yeah.
authentic
You know what?
to
I was gonna say I was on Lauryn Hill too.
yes. She is one of the dopest lyricists out there. And I just hate that her career was derailed by certain things. But I mean, if you listen to that the newest track she did with Nas on King's Disease 2, Nobody, I was like, I missed that.
Classic.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So Lauryn Hill for sure. I don't even know how she got connected with the Fugees and all that nonsense, but the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, '98, that's
Yes.
still one of the dopest
Yes.
albums ever made from start to
100%.
finish.
Yeah.
Think think about this. So Lauryn Hill dropped Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Jay-Z dropped Volume 2. I think at the time DMX dropped like 3 albums in a row that were killing. Roots came out that year. We didn't even know what we were, and not to mention what Outkast was doing at the time. Like I don't know that we realized how much great content we were getting at the time, and we just took it for granted.
Yeah.
And
I did a
today,
Jay-Z video.
huh?
I was in one of Jay-Z's videos.
Oh, you were? Which one?
I can't even think of the name right now. It was a hot one. It
It
was
was-
they were on it wasn't the boat one, it was at a house. I'm a hustler, baby.
well, I wonder if that was Volume 2 time.
Yeah.
I'm
I
too much
can't
of a
remember
Jay
the
Z
name
fan.
of
I'm
the
almost
song
like
right
trying to
now.
narrow it down to the song. Okay. So that's news. You were in a Jay-Z video. You grew up in LA. What brought you from LA to Dallas?
So I was working a full-time job, regular corporate America, and my job was in Washington, D.C., and it was time for me to transfer. I transferred like every year or two,
Hmm.
elevating myself and getting promoted and blah, blah, blah. And I pretty much lived in all the major cities across the United States for this job, from the east to the west, from the north, and now it's time to go to the south. So I picked Texas, and I was actually migrating back west from Washington, D.C. to get back to LA. So I picked Texas, Vegas, and LA, and ended up in Dallas.
Gotcha. And you stayed here. My brother lives in LA. He would never move here. He says the weed's too good for him. And
I got stuck here.
you got stuck here?
God put me here. Yeah, God moved me here. He positioned me to be here. In my mind, I thought I was gonna go keep floating, and nah, this is my pit. This was not a pit stop. It was my stop.
This is your stop. All right. So you are a very successful entrepreneur that intimidates folks. It intimidates women who have different life paths. It intimidates men who don't feel, quote unquote, they can measure up and be a breadwinner when somebody makes a lot more than them or potentially can make a lot more than them. How do you navigate that and still be true to yourself without living up to other people's expectations?
I think that for me, I kill the noise. Like, I don't let a lot of outside stuff influence me. Like, I'm a strong decision maker. I am very strategic on the way that I move, and I think about things before I cross into places. So for me, I'm really not concerned about other people, men, women, what they think. When I was selling homes and doing real estate, the average agent sells 8. I sold over 200 houses my first year. And I think the reason why is because I didn't know what the average person sold, because I never asked anybody. I never Googled it. I never cared. I just was going in my own lane. So I feel like everybody has their own lane. We're on a super highway.
Yeah.
And, your lane can't supersede into my lane. You know why? Because God's already formed this lane and it's already made for me. And even if you came over here, I couldn't even hit you, because I'll go over you, I'm gonna go around you. It's no way for us to collide. So whatever energy, if someone comes with weird energy, like, that's what they're on, it doesn't affect me at all. I'm gonna remain humble, myself, true to myself, and 10 toes down in everything that I do.
Hey, I love it. Nobody can run your own race. Everybody was designed for their, like, all you doing is competing against your best self. Man, if we could internalize that, how much further could we go? Wow, I appreciate your time. So, Benaisha, you all over the place. Where can people find you, connect with you? How do they do that?
Yes, so I am actively on Instagram. And so if you message me, I will message back. So my Instagram is my first name, B as in boy, ENAI, S as in Sam, HA__.
Awesome. So you are actively in real estate, multifamily, single family, you own a bank. If somebody were to say, hey, I need to buy a home, it's my first home, what kind of strategies would you put in place for them? What do they need to know and do to get that done?
Sure. So with my real estate sales team company, I have over 200 agents across the United States. So I'm not just in Texas, I'm in all the hot markets across the United States. So from LA to New York to Miami to Chicago, Charlotte, Ohio, I'm everywhere. So if I can't help you in a place like, let's just say Vegas, I would have an agent that works for me help you out there. But if you do come directly to me in Texas, I'll be happy to help you. I don't turn down anything. I love supporting my people, supporting anyone who's even new to the game. Like, I have knowledge, and I can't die with it. It's like, what can you do with it? I want to give it, and I want to help others. So that's what I do. And if you reach out to me, I'll definitely be willing to help you.
I appreciate you helping us on our podcast and sharing your time, your valuable time with us. Thank you, Benaisha. So what we got is Come Correct, I Can't Stop You. The Space and Equity, we're all about increasing assets and creating new space. Real bankers for real people. Benaisha Watson, we appreciate you for your time. You have a good one.